Welcome to the Way to Go podcast. Bill McMahon along with Mark Hostetler, and we are going to be talking about John 19. But first, this Monday, so this show is going to air on Friday. So then Monday, which is March 7th. Thanks. Keep me straight, Mark.
Yep.
March 7th, we're starting our 40 days. So I might not have known what date it was, but I knew it was Monday. So we're doing the 40 days of seeking God. Now, for a lot of Christians, a lot of Catholics, they started on Ash Wednesday. So you'll see some, I've seen some pictures already show up of people with ash on their forehead. And so Ash Wednesday is the beginning of their Lent season. The reason why we start Monday is both are going to go roughly that 40 days. In the Catholic tradition, they take off on Sundays. So if they were giving up coffee or they were giving up chocolate, they'd be like, okay, 6 days a week I do this, seventh day I don't. We start on Monday because we just go 40 days straight through. I just don't think, usually if I'm trying to quit something, it's not really helping me to take a break from that for 1 day a week. You know, it's just easier. No, I'd just rather go 40 days straight. And then we end on Good Friday.
Yep.
So that's why we do the 40 days starting on Monday. If you're wondering, well, how come, a lot of other people I talk to start at Lent on Ash Wednesday, which I have friends that start at Lent on Ash Wednesday too. But that's why. So we're going to start on Monday because we don't take Sundays off. So we just go through every day as far as whatever we gave up and our practices are. We're going to be doing our devotional. For those YouVersion Bible app devotional. The whole church is kind of encouraged to join it.
You can find it on eagleville.church under the 40 Days tab.
Okay.
40 Days of
Yeah,
Seeking
I'll go
God
check that
tab.
out.
And you can actually click the Bible. It'll actually take you right to our church's invitation to join into the plan on YouVersion.
Good.
Through the church, so
I'll probably do that.
Yeah,
I'll probably
it's
do
a
that.
great thing. It's an intentional way for us just to kind of gear up to look ahead, during Lent to see what we're going to be talking about today out of John 19, to see the crucifixion in a whole new light, to prepare ourselves for that event. And then ultimately Easter,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Easter being the big exciting day because we get chocolate and Easter bunnies.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. I just wanted to give some of you out there a heart attack right now.
You just gave me a heart attack. I'm sitting right next to you. What are you doing?
No, Resurrection Sunday is an exciting day. And, obviously that's our hope that there's eternal life. And for all our loved ones that pass away, hey, there's eternal life. There's a resurrection. Like Paul said, if we don't have that hope, we're the most miserable of all. Right. You might as well eat, drink, and for tomorrow you die. It just doesn't even matter if there's no resurrection. So the resurrection is ultimately super important. I enjoy it. Like we have the 6 fast days, which is challenging, obviously.
Those are on Fridays.
Those are on Fridays. You don't have to give up. I'll eat dinner, and I'm usually pretty strident about it. So if I eat dinner at 7 o'clock on Thursday night, I'm probably not going to eat till 7 o'clock on Friday night. So I try to actually have like my house in order and have my act together. So I'm eating actually at a normal time on Thursday. So then the next evening, Friday night, I'll eat again. So yeah, you definitely feel hungry. Some people can't do that. And I don't we're not legalistic about it. Nope. We're not, this is a you and God thing. This isn't a me and you thing. And that's where, we have to distinguish between Christian and Christian. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. You're going to do it the way you want to do it. You might not want to fast at all, and that's okay. You may want to give up lunch or just breakfast. That's fine too. It's like it doesn't matter to us. And somebody wrote to me actually, which I thought was really sweet. Young lady in the church wrote to me and asked me about ideas of what to give up. Man, was I excited to hear this young lady want to get closer to God. Great. That was so awesome. And so I just talked to her about what I have done. I've given up coffee. Decided this year I'm not going to do it. I'll probably give up. I think I'm going to give up any sweet drink. No sugar in coffee, no lemon tea, nothing, everything unsweet. I might even go as far as to give up like candy and everything, just any sugar, except if it comes from fruit.
Yeah.
I'll eat an apple or eat an orange, but maybe like nothing chocolate, no M&Ms, no cake, no pie, nothing.
Yeah, and I still haven't yet solidified what I'm giving up yet. I mean, I'm still processing through it. I still don't know. So
I don't know.
It'll be interesting. Yeah.
What should Mark give up? Write in the comment
Go ahead,
thread.
write it in the comments.
Go ahead and write in the comments.
Know.
What should Mark give up? But I look for, so we give up, there's almsgiving too. I mean, as a big part of it is we say almsgiving. I know there's a churchy term for you, but just giving, and we'll give towards the Honduras mission trip. So sacrificial giving, really.
The church is hosting a kind of a small mission trip. It's a week-long mission trip to Honduras, and we've got a ton of people signed up for it, And so what we wanted to do is just give the church an opportunity to give in a special way towards that trip, and everything that'll be given will be taken off of everybody's kind of required amount,
or if they need tools down there, or if they need something, we'll put it towards that. It's like, we don't know. We haven't decided 100% like what we'll put it to. Is really whatever the needs are of the trip is what we're going to do. We're just going to use it wisely. Let's put it that way. So you have giving, you have sacrifice, you have fasting, you have the devotional that we're going to read. It's going to be a great time. Now, if you have your Bibles, turn to John 19 and get ready, because we're going to fly through this. There's a lot to cover in our 15 minutes left of this podcast. And then next podcast, we usually do 2 on each chapter. So this is the first one. So we're just going to talk about Jesus Christ being sentenced and how he handled that injustice. And then I said, then Pilate, this is verse 1, John 19. Then Pilate took Jesus, had him flogged. Simply stated, miserable.
Oh my gosh.
The flesh right off your back. Terrible. Soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns. I mean, I'd be, at this point, if that were me, I'm sure I'd be like sick to my stomach.
Oh.
And the night before, he just had a big meal with his disciples, right?
Yeah.
And so now it's just boom. And so they put this crown of thorns on his head. They clothed him in a purple robe. They went up to him again and again, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they slapped him in the face. So I think of the beating, the thorns, the mocking. And it's difficult for me to imagine God watching this and not wanting to literally just kick butt. Come down here, knock some heads together.
I mean, it's a great point. I mean, I think
consume
about
some people with fire, right? I mean, to the restraint of God not to unleash holy terror on those people is amazing in his love and patience. That was even allowed.
Yeah,
Harsh.
you said it's hard to imagine God watching it. Think about it like this: it's hard to imagine God enduring it.
Yeah, well, God the Father watching it, God the Son enduring it, right?
I know, but God Himself is actually enduring this mocking and pain and hardship as the Son, the second person of the Trinity, and it's so hard to imagine. I mean, the temptation, even in another account where it says, he said he can call down angels, legions of angels to come and save him, stuff like that. It's like, yeah, he could have.
I would be ticked. I'm just saying I'd be ticked.
Oh my goodness.
I'd be ticked. No doubt about it. It's unjust. It's like I'm fired up about Russia coming into Ukraine because you see pictures and you see maternity hospitals blown up, grocery stores intentionally targeted,
orphanages.
What are you blowing up? Why are you blowing up? They're blowing up school buildings and art centers and all kinds of things. They have no business blowing up. They have no military consequence whatsoever. They're just doing it to be mean. I don't care for that stuff. I don't like injustice at all.
No.
I see this. Christ has done nothing wrong. So he beats him. They mock him, slap him in the face. And once more, Pilate came out and said to the Jews gathered there, "Look, I'm bringing him out to you to let you know that I find no basis of a charge for him." Now, very interesting. I find no basis for a charge against him, but I just beat the tar out of him.
Yeah, he's just trying to appease him.
Right.
He can't see anything wrong with Jesus, but the people are telling him he has to be punished.
Right.
So this first flog, I mean, this is probably the least form of punishment that he could have given him, really.
And
because of what they were saying.
Almost kill you.
And yeah, exactly. But he was like, if I do this, they might sympathize with him and they might let him free because I don't want to put him to death.
Well, that was getting you started. Like, people going to get crucified would get flogged because then they're even more ready to die.
Yeah.
So he did take you could say a good strong half step in that direction, having him flogged but it's still the point that I would like to pronounce and make clear. It's very unjust because he said himself, "I find no basis for a charge."
Absolutely.
I find there's no basis for a charge. You've done absolutely nothing wrong, and yet somebody's saying, because we were actually talking in our Revelation Bible study about people being blameless, and Christ was, but you can be blameless. Like I said, it's blameless in God's eyes because you could be blameless, do everything right, and still have somebody accuse you of wrongdoing. You could have, in other words, I'm a cult leader, if you didn't know. I'm not, but it's, people say stuff like that. It's been the most common thing I've ever heard. It's ridiculous. You can go through and you can work hard and you can help people. You can do the right thing. You still have somebody out there saying it's this or that. Christ does everything right. He heals people. He teaches the truth. You still have a group of people here. He deserves to be crucified. And when they see him in this crown of thorns and purple robe, as soon as the chief priests and their officials saw him, they shouted, "Crucify, crucify!" And Pilate answered, "Take him yourself and crucify him. I find no basis for a charge against him." Now, it's twice he said it. He's innocent of all wrongdoing, and he still suffers. And they insisted, well, we have a law that he must die because he claimed to be the Son of God.
And let's be very clear about that. That's why he's dying. Because his claim of being the Son of God, the Jews didn't believe that, but when people say, no, Jesus didn't claim to be God, no, it's very clear. That's exactly why they're putting him to death. He
had said in the preacher, "You're going to see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of God. We have no further need of evidence." They tore their clothes, right? And John 8:58, he said, "I tell you, before Abraham was, I am."
Yep.
In John 10:30 through 33, I and the Father are one. Again, the Jewish opponents picked up stones to stone him, but Jesus said to them, "I've shown you many good works from the Father. For which of these do you stone me?" Again, he's done nothing wrong. He's done everything right. Well, we're not stoning you for any good work, but for blasphemy because you, a mere man, claim to be God. Yeah. So clearly they understood what Jesus Christ was saying. And then when he said it with his own words, they want to kill this guy. And it really comes down to, and let's be super clear about this. They are not crucifying Jesus Christ just because he said he was the Son of God. That was their pretext. They're jealous of this man. They're killing him because they're jealous of his power. They're jealous of the people looking to him. This is all about power. This is all about control, like a lot of things are when it comes to politics and government.
Yep.
They can't stand it. They're jealous of it. It clearly says they turned him over out of envy. The whole thing of him saying he's at the right, did they really care what Jesus Christ said? They didn't believe in him anyway. No, they don't really care what Jesus Christ has to say. It was their reason to kill him. But they wanted to kill him before any of those words. They had already committed themselves to killing Jesus Christ before he made that comment to the high priest, "You'll see me seated at the right hand of God." Before that comment was made, they already were determined they were going to kill him.
That's true. They met with Judas. I mean, they decided, you know what, they were going to plot for his death.
But if you want to say, it took the Son of Man to die for our sins. So, clearly he is going to the cross because he is the Son of God. And now Pilate hears him make this comment that, well, he claimed to be the Son of God. What?
He got scared, man.
He's even more afraid.
Yeah, he's even more afraid. He's like,
he already was afraid.
Yeah.
And now he's more afraid. So think about that. When you catch these words in the Bible, when it says that, he's more afraid. Not saying he wasn't afraid before. He's already nervous about what he's doing to Jesus Christ. His wife had come to him in Matthew 27:19 when Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat. His wife sent him a message. "Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I've suffered a great deal in a dream because of him."
Wow. Yeah.
That's chilling, to be honest with you.
It really is.
Right.
Yeah.
God's trying to warn Pilate, so Pilate knows exactly what's going on. He's trying to warn him and tell him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because even though Pilate didn't want this to happen, even though he knew he was innocent, even though all of that stuff, you know what the scripture makes clear? That Pilate was responsible.
Right.
He suffered under Pontius Pilate. Well,
But he's not as guilty. Like Jesus Christ will tell him later on, you're not as guilty. It doesn't mean you're not guilty. He still had responsibility.
That's right. Yeah.
But anyway, in verse 9 then, he says he went back inside the palace. He wants to know from Jesus Christ. Pilate asked Jesus, "Where do you come from?" But Jesus gave him no answer. He said, "Do you refuse to speak to me?" Pilate said, "Don't you realize I have the power either to free or to crucify you?" Now, before going on and looking at Christ's response to that, Isaiah 53:7, he was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, as a sheep before his shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth. That's definitely a trial time of Christ. He didn't say much, not anywhere.
Yeah.
He just took it. He goes, "Don't you know I have the power?" And he said, "You'd have no power over me if it were not given you from above. Therefore, the one who handed you over to me is guilty of a greater sin." From then on, Pilate tried to set Jesus free, but the Jewish leaders kept shouting, "If you let this man go, you're no friend of Caesar's."
Yeah.
Anyone who claims to be a king opposes Caesar.
This is a trap, a political trap. They are politically trapping him because it's like, if you don't listen to us right now,
right,
and you acknowledge him as king, that's disloyalty to your boss.
Right.
And that'll get you fired. That'll, and from that moment on, you see a whole shift in Pilate. You see a shift. He's like, trapped. All right, we're trapped. Bring out the what do you call it? the courtroom pretty much. You know, bring it out. We're going to sentence him right now because I don't want to risk losing my job. You know, I don't want to risk that. Or dying. Yeah.
Right. He could have gotten executed for that.
They were, in that sense, they were smart.
Right.
They trapped him. He was right there. He was trapped.
But he trapped himself in that he was listening to the wrong voices in the first place. He should have looked at Jesus Christ, listened to him, just turn him loose out the back door and say, get out of here. He shouldn't have even been talking to them at all.
Agreed.
He didn't. Pilate never had to come back and even have another meeting. I mean, if as a leader, you know there's certain people you have to listen to and certain people you don't. And he's the boss. He's the governor there. He doesn't have to put up with any of this. He could have said, listen, take Jesus Christ out through the back hallway, let him out the back door, get him out of here. He's done nothing wrong. And he could have just walked out to him. I turned him loose. And when they yelled and screamed about it, see ya. Have a nice Passover, guys. He could have.
That's true.
He's listening to the wrong voices. And I think that sometimes we put ourselves in a bad situation because he shouldn't have marched him back out there. Sometimes, like, we put ourselves in a situation we just shouldn't be in the first place. Like, maybe we shouldn't have put ourselves in temptation. We shouldn't have gone to that place where we were already mad anyway, and then we go to someone's house we're mad at, and then, you know, somebody gets punched or something gets broken or some words get said. Maybe you just shouldn't have put yourself in that position to start with. Maybe you should have already known that I just don't need to be in front of this person today. Like, I really don't need to be in this situation today. And I think that's where we have to be smart. For Christ's perspective, I look at him handling the injustice. He's going to trust God. It says in the Bible in 1 Peter 2 that he didn't revile, he didn't retaliate. He entrusted himself to God who judges justly. Jesus Christ doesn't need to worry about it. He's just letting God take care of it. And when we come into injustice, that's a great thing for us to do. You're not saying anything, Jesus. You're not saying anything. It's not, listen, he had said plenty to God. He had prayed plenty about it. He didn't need to say anything to Pontius Pilate because the truth of the matter is Jesus Christ knew that no matter what he said to Pontius Pilate is still going to listen to that crowd.
That's right.
Why say anything? Why didn't Jesus Christ say anything? Because it's pointless. Jesus Christ told him, he's going to tell him, you would have no power over me if it were not given to you from above. Therefore, the one who handed me over to you is guilty of a greater sin. Listen, here he's saying you don't even have power except if God gave it to you.
That's right. And I think he's speaking of the main point. Yeah, Pontius Pilate and the people, the chief priests, all of that, they're all players in this role. But Jesus understands the time. The time's fulfilled now.
Right.
And now God's orchestrating this to make his death happen.
Right.
That's what's happening.
Sure.
So he's recognizing that God himself has put you in this spot.
Right.
He's put you in this place of
But the
authority.
human machine that got there, the human mechanism that got him there was full of injustice. It was full of wrongdoing.
No doubt about it.
And Jesus Christ is quiet because there's no point. No matter what he tells him, you know, he had already said in the you were rightfully so that I am a king, but my kingdom's not of this earth.
Yeah.
He's already told him that. It doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter if he said, I came straight from heaven.
Yep.
I came here to die for sins. You're going to hell if you do this, Pilate. It wouldn't matter what he said. Pilate's still going to give him up at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And he knows it. And like you said, that's part of God's plan, but it's also part of who Pilate is. It's just part of the whole circumstance. I mean, why are we wasting time talking to people who aren't going to listen anyway? How about we think about that for a second?
Wow. Yeah.
Why am I going to talk to people that I know for a fact aren't going to listen? It's not going to matter what I say. It's not going to matter what I do because they're going to run home and listen to whoever anyway. And if you know it, you must just keep your mouth shut. I think Jesus Christ did the right thing. You know, he knows what God's will is for him. He's trusting himself to God. Yeah. He's already prayed about all these things. He knows how it's going to go. And if there's no point in talking, there's no point in talking.
He set a good example for us.
I mean, absolutely.
Really I mean, yeah. When you know, the temptation when there's wrongful accusations, the temptation is to just respond in defense. I'm trying to defend myself, and I'll do it until I'm blue in the face. You know.
Yes, and if you're talking to me, that's fine. But if you're talking out there to somebody who's going to hate you no matter what you say, and it's already decided, it's already decided, it's already said, why am I even talking? Why am I even bothering?
Right. That's what I was going to say. Sometimes it's just best just to just shut up.
Right.
You know?
Best
and just, you know
defense.
what? You know what's true in your heart, so just know it.
Handling injustice, best defense, at times, perhaps many times, is just no defense.
Yeah.
You just let your record stand.
Right.
I mean, Jesus Christ, he already said, he did nothing wrong. I find no cause of wrongdoing within him because with Jesus Christ, his record stood. for what it was. And who are we worshiping today? Not Pilate and not these religious leaders. We worship Jesus.
Yep.
And so Pilate heard this. He brought Jesus out, sat down at the judge's seat, and other passages kind of washes his hands of it. It is the preparation day of the Passover. It's about noon. Here's your king, Pilate said to the Jews, but they shouted, take him away, crucify him. Shall I crucify your king? We have no king but Caesar. They said. The chief priest answers. Finally, Pilate handed him over to them to be crucified. And politics obviously comes into the next situation. But, we're going to pick this up, Mark. We're going to pick this up in the next podcast. And we appreciate you tuning in and listening to this part of John 19. We encourage you to tune in to the next one when that comes out in a few days. Share the podcast, like the podcast, follow the page, the YouTube page on Ingleville Bible Church. We appreciate it. You guys all have a great and a blessed week.